Welcome back to my writing channel. My name is Josie, and this is an exciting time because I'm just about to start revisions on a book that I first wrote over 5 years ago. And since then, I have written 4 other thriller novels, which is why I'm excited to go back to the first thriller I ever wrote and try and bring it up to my current day standard. We're going to be diving straight into draft 6, and I have done a reread of the project and outline, so I feel pretty ready to go. There's going to be a lot of drafting of new scenes, of changing things around, altering the characters slightly, but I'm excited to take on the challenge, and it starts now. What are you doing? What are you doing? That's not for you. That's not for you. Oh my god, is he gonna go for it? I actually started the draft a number of days ago now, less than a week. I think it's maybe been like 4 days, and it's taken me a while to ramp up just because I've had a few false starts. From the original point where draft 5 started, I have now included 3 chapters that happened before that. So I'm having to figure out what happens during that time. And then another big thing I'm trying to work on, because I like the story, I like the characters, I like the conflicts of the original one, but I didn't really understand the art of subtlety as much as I do now. One of my goals with draft 6 is to take what I made very obvious surface level and bring it down a little deeper, a little bit more subtle, and have just smaller hints and really build up to moments rather than come out of the gate full force drama and everything. Yesterday, I actually finished the first chapter and it's really short. That was another thing I wanted to do with this project, is really keep my chapters super short, super succinct. But even then, like most of my thriller books, the chapters are 2,000 to 2,500 words. And this first chapter was just over 1,000 words. So in book terms, I think that's something like 3 or 4 pages. So it's going to be moving pretty quick. But most of my hesitation is because I've really been playing around with how the information is appearing on the page. I'm really trying to figure out what are my characters' true personalities that I want to use in this draft? How is that being reflected in the conversation, in their actions? How can I show these things, sprinkle it in? Which has led me to a pretty slow start. And I think it will pick up as I get into the groove, as I feel like I have a lot more solid footing under me. At first, I was a little discouraged by how slow I was moving because every time I start a first draft of a project, there's a switch in my head, because usually I will have finished another project and I'll have been in later revisions. I'll be doing a lot more line work. So when I go back to first drafting, it's a little bit of a shift of get the story down. It doesn't have to be written well. But I am taking a slower approach for this project because, yes, I'm first drafting scenes right now, but I do want it to be at a higher level. I'm doing multiple passes, I'm deleting and rewriting, and maybe this is not the strategy to use. Maybe I really should do a draft 6 that's super rough, just getting everything down that I need to get down. But I'm enjoying right now this slower approach because I really do need to figure out what the personalities for these characters are, or else there'll be so many more issues later on. But I'll figure it out as I go. We are going to be adapting to whatever I feel like is working in the moment. And for now, that includes going at a pretty slow pace and just taking my time and getting my feet wet a little bit in this story and kind of figuring out and orienting myself to what's going on. I'm going to try and keep this writing update pretty quick because I have an hour and a half before I've got to leave for an appointment. And I really want to spend that time writing because I really did take that slow, measured approach seriously. And it was so slow that for the last 2 days, I haven't done any writing. I just wasn't feeling it. And so I just didn't do it. We are going to be starting on chapter 4, which is where things really ramp up. I feel really good about how I set up all the characters and their dynamics and everything. So it feels like a little bit more solid footing to keep writing. And the big inciting incident is in this next chapter. So it should be really fun to write. And these chapters have been really short, actually. First chapters are between 800 and 1,000 words, which is not a lot, right? That's 3 or 4 pages. And then I'm kind of ending them on a little bit of a cliffhanger. So I just don't want to feel too repetitive. If you're constantly feeling like you're being jerked along between the chapters, I do want it to feel seamless. But for now, I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to have fun with this next chapter. I had so much fun writing before my appointment that as soon as I came back, it's all I wanted to do for like the rest of the day, in between other stuff, because it was also a really nice day. So I wanted to go outside and all that. But I ended up writing, I think, for close to 5 hours yesterday. So I think I started, what did I say? I'm like chapter 4. And then I got to the end of chapter 7. But keep in mind, these chapters are really short. Like chapter 7, especially, I think it's like 300 or 400 words, which is like a page and a half in a book. And that's obviously really short. There's a very clear spot for a cliffhanger, but I don't know. I may combine it with the next chapter. We'll see if that one's short as well. I'm a little worried that my word count for the entire book is going to be too short at this rate if we're already on chapter 8 and I planned out, I think, 40 chapters. And anyways, I'm not going to worry about too much because the last 2 chapters is where we actually started to hit some of the scenes that I had from the previous draft. So a lot of what happens before is just like extra stuff. This book is like really sucking me in, which is so funny because that's how it felt writing it the first time. So I wrote the first draft of this back in 2020, in the year of the pandemic, and I spent most of my time writing it in like November, December, and then like January, February of 2021. And this was my first year when I had moved up to Alaska for grad school. And I just remember that December, for like 2 or 3 weeks, my roommate went back for the holidays, but I didn't. And I was basically by myself because it was COVID. I couldn't like meet people. I didn't really have any in real life friends. So I would message people, I would, video call them, whatever. But for like 2 or 3 weeks, I was living by myself in Alaska in the dead of winter. Hello, cat. You're not supposed to be on the table. So, yeah, it was like the dead of winter, and we had maybe like 2 or 3 hours of sunlight in the middle of the day. And I'd usually take that time to go for a long ski, like classic ski. And I was thinking about my story as I was skiing. Then, literally, the rest of the day was just writing. I'd write a full draft, go straight through the whole story, and then I'd open a new Word document, have it open beside the old draft, and then just write from scratch the next draft, like going back and consulting the original one and just like trying to make it better. Like I would go through one draft in like a handful of days and then just like keep repeating. And it was just this like crazy, weird, delusional cycle. But I feel like I'm harnessing a little bit of that like crazy, delusional, weird feeling just in editing this here now. But enough chit chatting. I am going to get to chapter 8. And this is a fun one because I feel like in a lot of chapters, they're very like dialogue heavy. I tend to show conflict and progression of plot a lot through like conversations and things like that. But this one should have no dialogue whatsoever. It's all about her discovering stuff, thinking, deciding what she wants to do based off of like the things that have come before it. So it should be pretty fun. This rewrite has been giving me a bit more trouble than I've let on. So we're like pretty deep into the story now. Well, I'm struggling to figure out where we are in the story in terms of like normal 3 act story structure, because I would say that we've like kind of finished up act 1, kind of going into act 2, because we've had our setup, we've had our inciting incident, we've had the decision that the character has to make, the decision to investigate, which feels like we're like thrusting into an act 2, right? We're like entering a new world. We've made a decision that we can't go back on. We're like, we've committed. But at the same time, we are just over 10,000 words into this book, which I guess might be okay because no, it's not really, because act 1 should be like a quarter of the book, act 2 should be half of the book, and then act 3 is another quarter. So it is too early. Like the original book was 72,000 words, and there is a lot to come. Like that's why I think it'll still end up being that long. So I don't know if it's like disproportionately weighted at the beginning. I don't know if that's okay because we're just like jumping straight into the story. I can't imagine what else I'd want to put into this act 1. I keep thinking like, oh, maybe I can add scenes or like not scenes, but like other descriptions and things into these first chapters, especially because they're so short, and that might help. But that's not going to add like 5,000 words. And even if it did, that's slowing down the pacing that's there. But the thing that's been really throwing me for a loop is I've just been going over again and again my character's like reason to investigate. So how I've set up her internal conflict. Like I feel like there's a couple of different things going on. So it makes that when she finally has that like decision to investigate or whatever, it doesn't feel like easy final, but at the same time, like I feel like I could go and like massage it and like keep working on it because this character is really messy. Like there are things that she thinks she's making for a specific reason, but really underneath she's making it for another reason. I think it's just making me confused based on how confused she is. So I'm not saying all of this because I'm planning on giving up the project or even like restarting this draft, because that is not it. Like I feel like I'm close, but just like not quite there yet. I did last night as I was going to bed. There's like this one relationship that I'm like, I feel like I still haven't nailed this. So I thought through a little bit about like what could have been the catalyst inciting incident that like set them on this dynamic instead of a different one. This is from like way before the book starts, because they all have been in this like science camp together for like 3.5 months at this point. So there's a lot of like formed relationships and history that like the reader's not really going to be aware of or is going to get little hints of throughout. So there's like a lot that I'm having to like breadcrumb and figure out for myself, because those have these huge ripple effects throughout the rest of the book. So I think knowing that little like catalyst scene that happens at the beginning of summer that I'm not going to be writing, like I don't even know if I'm going to have a flashback to it. I think I might have like a moment later on as like where they'll discuss it and then they'll kind of reveal their sides of it just as they're like developing their relationship. And yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit all over the place right now because I'm like, should I go back and rework the first 10,000 words before I move on? But then a part of me is like, no, you just have to like keep going and continue the momentum and go into act 2, which is 10,000 words in, which again feels I definitely understand the advice that people give where like you're not supposed to go back and rework old projects. Like a lot of times it's more effort to shape them into like what you'd write nowadays rather than just like start a new project from scratch, build it from the ground up. But I just really like this story. I really like these characters. And even if it takes me longer than writing a whole new brand new story, I think it's worth it. Like the vision I have for this is so good. So if I can realize that on the page, I'm going to be so happy. I think it'll be a really good story. So I think it's worth it. Even if right now I'm struggling a little bit with like navigating my way through, but I am still having fun writing it, which is the important part. Like I'm excited now to dive back into what chapter are we on? Okay, I think I just started chapter 11. So we're going to keep working. And we are now officially in Act 2, even though it feels way too early for that to happen. Thank you if you've made it to the end of this video. I've been working on this for actually a lot longer than I thought I would for the amount of words I've gotten through, but one step at a time.